Welcome back. I'm going to talk to you today about a super important part of your body, and that is your brain. As people, we have enormous power and influence over the way our brain functions. And so I wanted to teach you a little bit about it so that you are the master of your own brain. First, some basic information. So this is a model of a brain that one of my daughters made. And our brains are made up of 85 to 100 billion little tiny neurons or brain cells. If you were to try to count them one by one, it would take over 3,000 years. Boy, you'd have to have a lot of focus and determination to be able to count that many neurons. And it would really suck if you got like to 72 billion and lost count. Anyways, our brains are kind of complicated, but they're fabulous. There's lots of different parts of the brain. This part up here, so this is like my brain sideways here, would be here. And that's the frontal lobe. That part of your brain is focused on your thinking, speaking, memory, and movements. This part down here is called the temporal lobe, and that deals more with our hearing, learning, and feelings. Up on the back is the parietal lobe, which focuses on language and touch. The occipital lobe near the back of our brain is controlling our vision and color perception. Down here, the cerebellum focuses and helps us with balance and coordination. And then the brain stem that leads down to our spinal cord deals with those things that we don't even think about, like breathing, heart rate, and temperature. If you're more interested in learning about the brain, there are lots of website pages that have pictures of the brain and the different parts and lots of information if you're interested in that sort of thing that you could look at. What I want to talk about today is making your brain the very best for you. So every time you think, feel, or do something, messages travel along the neurons that are connected to your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And they create pathways in the brain. Whenever you do an action, a feeling, or a thought, the message travels along the same pathway. And when you do something over and over again, it creates kind of a super highway that makes that learning easier and that behavior easier to repeat over time. So let's take an example. If you're a bike rider, when you first started out, you didn't just automatically know how to ride a bike. You started with a step or two, and then you could build on that and repeat those beginning pedaling or standing and holding your balance. And the more you did it, the better you got. And so once you become a bike rider, then you don't even really have to think that much about your balance and your pedaling and your steering. The more you ride, the stronger those pathways in your brain get. Just like the way that you create good habits and learn new skills, you could also create bad ones. If you're someone who likes to start your day with sugary treats, or someone who yells every time they get frustrated or confused, then you're creating those neural pathways to crave sugar, make you think you need sugar to start your day. Or it makes you go to the behavior of yelling every time you get confused or frustrated. Whatever you do a lot of, make sure it's helping you to create a neural pathway that helps you be the best that you can be. During childhood and adolescence and young adulthood, our brains are primed for learning. They are ready to just grow those neural pathways. And so notice that at that time of your life, you spend a lot of time in school. It's also easier to learn things. Like if you wanted to learn a language, Languages are often introduced in middle and high school and even younger because those neural pathways can just rapidly pick up that new learning. It doesn't mean to say that you can't learn something as you get older. It just means that you might need to practice a bit more before you master the new task. Just the way your thoughts occur is that there are brain chemicals that get released in your brain, and then those chemicals create electrical impulses. Those pathways will influence your feelings, your behavior, and your learning. It's important to keep those thoughts as healthy as we can. You want to be positive and strong. When you think brave thoughts, like I can do that, or I'll give it a try, then you're forming those pathways in your brain. The more you think the thoughts, the more real they'll feel. Brave thoughts like I can do this, or I'm going to work to be brave even when I feel uncomfortable, will help you to become more brave. Calm thoughts, maybe I'm going to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, will lead me to a calmer behavior. If I get anxious and then I repeat those anxious thoughts, they'll make me more anxious. Remember, your thoughts, feelings, and your behaviors don't need to match. You can feel anxious, but have brave thoughts. You can feel anxious or worried, but do brave things. So a little bit more about those neurons and how those messages travel. Well, there's actually, like I said, 85 to 100 billion of these neurons. And so the electrical pathway will begin to connect these neurons. And what happens is they're not actually touching each other, but you have to have a little jump. The neurons have to create a jump across the gap to get to the next neuron by these chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. So having healthy neurotransmitters is super important. So I want to talk a little bit about how we keep the right balance of neurotransmitters. Well, first of all, you need to eat healthy. Eat nutritious food that makes your brain and the rest of your body excellent. That includes lots of lean meats, proteins like oily fish, salmon, tuna, eggs, dairy products, and lots of fruits and vegetables. Now you might say, I don't like those kinds of foods very much, Miss Guthrie. And I'll tell you this fact that I learned about the brain is that it takes at least 7 trials of a new food to get our neural pathways connected to the point that we might be more open to eating it again and again. Personal preferences will, of course, make us all different, so there's no way for sure that you're going to like something new, but you have to give it a few tries to find out. Also, it's important to keep our bodies moving. Our brain doesn't have legs of its own, so we need to use the rest of those muscles in our body to get the oxygen and the exercise to our brain. Exercise helps release chemicals that help you have those healthy thoughts to manage those times when you're stressed or anxious or might have some negative feelings. It also helps your brain be ready to learn. You know, in class, when teachers have brain breaks and they actually get you up and moving, they're doing that to wake your brain up and get it ready to learn new information. So exercise helps your brain calm and be ready to learn. Another thing that's really important is getting enough sleep. While our brains sleep, they're actually doing some important work. It's helping you to connect your memories and to understand what you've learned over the course of the day. Sometimes teachers will introduce a topic but not dive into it until the next day. what they're doing is they're getting your brain ready to learn the information after you've had a little bit of time to sleep on it. In addition to sleeping, our brains do really good with mindfulness breaks. So they help to strengthen the pathways to keep us calm and allow our prefrontal cortex, or that thinking part of our brain, to be activated. There's lots of different apps out there that help with mindfulness. Some of those are maybe Headspace, Calm, or Relax Meditation. And while there's a version you can purchase, they all have some free apps or free activities that you can try. Also, Miss Katie has Miss Katie's Calming Corner. And so every day at 9:15, she does a mindfulness activity. You could go to her YouTube channel and join her right at 9:15, or you could just watch the video later during the day. So let's review. Our brains, they are amazing. They can grow, they help us learn, and we can make them stronger, just like the muscles of our body. Do you remember how many billions of neurons there are? Between 85 and 100 billion inside our brains. Every time we think, feel, or do something, messages travel along the neurons, and they connect our thoughts, feelings, and our actions. Practicing something and over again builds strong pathways or superhighways. And not practicing something causes learning to fade and trim off those alternative pathways so that we have more brain power for the things we do want to learn. Each one of us has the ability to build powerful, strong, positive pathways by the choices we make and practice. Repeat and practice the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that help you to demonstrate your best self. And let those unhelpful or unproductive behaviors fade. You could practice brave, courageous, encouraging, calm, and positive thoughts, even if you're feeling anxious, confused, or upset. Remember, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions don't all need to match up. One way to encourage brave, positive thoughts and encourage learning is to take care of our brain. Keep it in its best shape by eating healthy foods, exercising, getting plenty of sleep, and practicing mindfulness. Once you do these things, you can take care of your brain and grow into your best self so that your brain is always in tip-top shape for learning. That's it for this time. Better swish, jellyfish.